Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. So wanted to wait and see how the broader stock market closed to see where momentum was heading into the weekend. And the good thing for the bulls is we've got some upside momentum. Our daily trend changes shaping up. Is our bottom in? Is fear being alleviated? Is World War III about to start? I've got all the answers. All right, so we'll start it off with the S&P 500 in the broader market. So SPY had a solid bounce this morning, hourly higher low midday, strong high of the day into the close. Solid bull candle. We are negating a daily bear flag at this point in time. That being said, if the bulls are going to be confident and alleviate fear, we need a break of 444.04, which is the top of the high here. That would be a quick little daily trend change. And QQQ needs to break 356.88 as well. Again, the gauge that I use for risk on assets, higher risk, higher reward, is IWM. And those bulls have more work to do, but it was a confirmed daily bear flag with zero follow through. Checking in on some of our crypto stocks, MARA, double bottom, 1943, 1943, double bottom to the penny, and then a bounce of 20, make that 12 or so percent, maybe more, 12 or so. So keeping an eye on all these little clues, because as soon as we see fear alleviated, that's when we see FOMO, because we go from extreme fear to solid FOMO with follow through for a bounce. And that's obviously what bulls are looking for. That being said, we have to be aware of the Russia-Ukraine situation. In my opinion, that's the highest risk headline that is in play right now. COVID, that's out the window as far as having significant impact, unless there were a new strain that murders everybody. Then we've got, in terms of the FOMC, we have a while until we're going to be looking for any additional information out of the Fed. But as far as here and now, if we're going to alleviate fear, we need to break bounce highs from earlier this week. That goes for everybody. So all of our major sectors need to see MARA break 24.22. Looking at the monthly time frame, it's the same thing as Bitcoin. We're testing monthly support, and at the moment, it is holding. So again, it's another way to potentially get exposure depending on where your money is, whether it's stock accounts or crypto accounts. So other than that, we're watching the dollar, and the dollar is extremely strong. So that is one negative. That's one thing that we don't want to see. The monthly bull flag just confirmed. And if we want to see stocks, crypto, commodities, everything strong, this 6 month, I keep pointing out, but this 6 month equilibrium that has been forming for 6 years, we need that 6 month lower high. And at some point, we will likely get it. But that could be months from now. That's what I'm watching bigger picture. And just knowing that if we were going to see another big leg up in all of these places, that we would likely need a 6 month lower high in the dollar to be shaping up. So what we would want to see there would be a higher high with zero follow through. So need weakness next week, but there's no sign of it. Just something we want to be aware of, bigger picture. All right, Bitcoin, trying for the daily trend change. Look at the daily EMA 12. We have been rejecting from this level clearly for over a month. So we have our low, high of the bounce, higher low, and anything under 39,000 is just a lower high. It's possible we remain within a tightening range. We know that the stock market correlation has been strengthening in this fear environment. And honestly, I joke around with people, but I care more about the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ futures chart relative to what I expect from Bitcoin, more so than I care about the Bitcoin chart, which is a very strange place to be in, but that's where we stand. And recently, the weekends have led to things cooling off a little bit and tightening ranges generally forming. You remember last weekend we had the bounce, what was that, the 22nd? So we had this bounce play out, but it was just a bear flag. We dropped to the lower low when we had stock market weakness to start the week. If we get a bull break of 39,000 and confirm a daily trend change, we zoom out and we scout a weekly lower high. We know there's tons of space for a weekly lower high to form. We can see a bounce all the way up to 45,000 and just be looking for a weekly lower high. We can see a bounce to 48,000. We can go 20% from here and just be looking for a weekly lower high. Anything under 52. So you have to determine what time frame is most important for you. There are some traders that are already in their positions. There are some patient bulls saying, well, I don't want to make an entry. If we get a big enough weekly bounce, then I'll scout an entry on a weekly higher low whenever it happens from here. But you need to determine the time frame that is most important, because the last thing you want to be doing is scrambling to try and develop a game plan because prices are changing and your emotions are changing with the changing prices. So Bitcoin, 4-hour trend change here and 12-hour time frame. It's possible we set a lower high, but it's all about 39,000. And again, it's good that we're coasting off this momentum. We did definitely benefit from this end of the day stock market strength, and that's now what's locked in our minds. And it's a completely different scenario heading into the weekend if you close near the low of the day in the stock market and you say, oh, we're going to open weak and we could see another leg down, versus closing at the high of the day and saying, oh, maybe the bottom's in. Is fear about to be alleviated? Should I be looking bullish? It's a completely different market environment. So now the bulls have to follow through. So for me personally, I have a small mana swing position, which I'll talk about when we get there, but I am interested in further bullish positions. And I'm going to be watching. I might choose longer term mindset. I do want some longer term positions that I'm looking for monthly bounces on. And those were the best trades that I had in 2021, where Bitcoin and Ethereum buying fear for the monthly higher low. So at this point, what I'm going to be looking for, and I already had some nice bounce trades and exited all those positions. I did not re-add them. I did bounce around with mana, but didn't re-add any Bitcoin or Ethereum on this daily higher low consolidation. So at this point, I'm going to remain patient, and I'm going to be watching I may take my position in MARA and in the stock world. It all depends. Hard to say at this point, but we can also go to the 2-day time frame and watch that downtrend. If I were looking for swing positions, again, based on the monthly time frame, if I'm looking on the daily, I'm playing off 35.5. That's a must-hold level. If I'm looking off the monthly, I'm using a smaller position size to use the stop level that's further away, under that 33,000 low. If this is our monthly higher low, I would anticipate a monthly lower high to be the result of this bounce, with lots of space for it to form. Then we got to be cautious of a monthly head and shoulders. But one step at a time. We are not confident a monthly higher low is in, because we haven't even changed the daily trend bullish. The dominance chart is still bouncing on the weekly. Again, I'm watching this weekly chart and nothing's changed, but this will be a major factor for me when this tightening range breaks. At some point, I'm anticipating end of Q1, start of Q2. So April-ish, perhaps, but we'll keep an eye on it. Ethereum. So Ethereum daily higher low is set, and now it is all about 27.24. And again, it's entirely possible that we just see a 12-hour equilibrium over the weekend. Low, high, higher, low. Anything under 27.24 is just a lower high. So that's something to keep an eye on. Plenty of space for an hourly higher low next consolidation, but ETH BTC has been weaker. Again, the EMA 12, same as Bitcoin. This has been resistance for over a month. And ETH BTC, I'm watching this 4-hour falling wedge. We're testing resistance right now. I drew this maybe 8 hours ago. So if we reject and pull back down, that would potentially be a 12-hour lower high on ETH USD. But keeping an eye out for this to need to break bull. And again, the fact that we're hitting fresh lows here is showing us that Bitcoin's been the better bouncer than Ethereum over the last 8 days as this bounce has attempted to take place, which is very unusual. Not unusual, but just not what we've been seeing in this recent market environment. So there's definitely a shift there with ETH weakening a bit compared to Bitcoin. And all you got to do is look back and say today, that ratio hit the lowest level that it's seen in 3 months, which is a long time. So again, I played the ETH bounce, but exited it all 2,700, and that's also my anti-FOMO. And we're still well under where I sold at, so I'm in no rush to do anything. If we do see a 12-hour equilibrium shape up, maybe I make a play off of 23.15 using that level as a stop. But again, I'm still in no rush at this point. And it all depends whether you're aggressive or conservative. An aggressive bull is absolutely establishing swing positions in this fear market environment. A patient bull is waiting for more clarity and waiting for bulls to prove more. And that may mean you buy higher, but that's the cost of waiting for more certainty. When there's less risk, there's less reward. So mana. I like mana. I choose mana because I do not have access to sand on Coinbase. Not sure which name I would choose, but the decision is already made for me. So I do trade mana for my metaverse name. We had a real nice 4-hour equilibrium here. Look how long this one's been shaping up. High, low, lower, high, higher, low, lower, high, higher, low, double top at the moment. And I posted on Twitter trade that I took yesterday based on this 4-hour equilibrium. And it was scaling into a couple positions. So sold at 234s on the initial move up. Rebought that position at 220. Doubled it down at 211, anticipating the 4-hour higher low compared to 203. Sold that 211 position early for sure, but knew that I wanted to sell fairly quickly because all I was doing was trying to get a better break even. And at this point, I've got a break even of about 218 of the position I reloaded. So it's up nicely, but I think the position size is small enough that I think I'm going to make this my monthly higher low attempt. And I think I'm going for at least a 50% gain on this position. And that certainly does not mean that's the way it's going to play out. But again, my best swing trades in 2021 in both stocks and crypto were buying notable fear for monthly higher lows. And here we are with mana, first daily oversold conditions. Another aspect of the Trader Pro alert system. This was on Binance, but we have our super stack alerts. Bull overbought super stack, certainly fired near that top. And here's the first ever super stack oversold. And so I'm going to be going off that signal. And I'm going to put my stop under the lows. And if I stop out, it'll be a small loss because I did make some decent gains on the initial bounce, scaling in, scaling out. And if this is the bottom, then I'm going to have a nice win. And the bulls need follow through from that 4-hour equilibrium. If it's going to be a convincing bull break, we got to get over the high of 237. But I've liked the way it's traded. I've liked the increasing bull volume here. And the weekly time frame, you look at the daily and say, well, has the daily trend changed bullish? It's not clear for me. And again, whenever a trend is not clear, just zoom out and condense things. Look at the 2-day. 2-day, it's not a trend change. Anything under 320 is just a daily lower high. So we certainly need more follow through. And we have a downtrend resistance line that we can be keeping an eye on. I like that one. That's a good one. Not a ton of touches. That's a good channel. But we know that if we get some alleviation of fear, tons of names will just be scouting weekly lower highs. Mana BTC, nice bounce on the daily. Trend change still needed. There's not a clear one for me. And this is a much stronger chart. The monthly time frame looking much better here. And again, just looking at our retracement sizes here, we've got a retracement size of about 56% maybe. And Mana USD is a lot more significant. 75% maybe. So I like that the BTC pairing is stronger than the US dollar pairing. I want that in my favor. So that's my game plan for that swing position. And again, it's small. You know, it's nothing very notable. And I definitely want more size. If this is a fear bottom, I want more size and more exposure in the crypto space. But again, I can be patient because it's been nice, you know, being mostly cash. That's the thing, the way with my trading style. And if you've been following for the last 5 years in crypto, you know that I often am very cautious up at the highs and I'm not making the most of that final move to the top. But when we do this, you know, people that hold, they can outperform me when we have not topped out yet. But once we top out, this is where I leapfrog all those holders, because on this whole pullback here, or at least to start this year, you know, Bitcoin down 20% and my account maybe dropped 1 to 2% because I did get stopped out of some bounces, but then made that back. So my style is staying cash and agile, but I do want to deploy that cash once we've got some bottoms set. Adam. So Adam USDT is trying to hold a higher low compared to 27.31. Looking bigger picture here, we have to be cautious of this double top. And again, it's just it's a level you can see from space. What does Lori call it? I forget. Something relative to that. So we're looking for a weekly higher low compared to 2018. And we're watching, let's condense it to the 2-week time frame. Just makes it a little bit more smooth, but tops, and it's all about that level to try and remain within a tightening range. And of course, if the bulls can hold 27.31, that would be ideal. We need a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls. We don't have it here. Anything under 32.78 is a 4-hour lower high. If we confirm a 4-hour trend change to the bulls, we zoom out, we scout a daily lower high, anything under 37.19. So anticipating, this is the kind of scenario where if bulls are lucky, they're just hoping for a tightening daily range at this point. They just want to hold support and form this equilibrium. And Atom BTC is giving a red flag because it has lost daily support. We need the 4-hour trend change there as well. But again, I want my BTC pairing, if I'm bullish, I want my BTC pairing stronger than the US dollar pairing, which is the case for Mana. It's not the case for Atom. So it's just less than ideal. It doesn't mean the trade can't work out. It's just not your ideal setup. So anticipating that if we get enough space on the 4-hour bounce, we'll look for the trend change, and then we'll scout that lower high. Luna. So Luna, we're starting to scout for a monthly higher low. And there's a handful of names, again, in the crypto space here that are going to be looking for monthly higher lows. Even Sol. Sol's been weak recently. But look at the monthly chart. Again, what's the most likely scenario here? This doesn't help us pinpoint where it's going to happen, but we know to be looking for a monthly higher low. And it's the same reason, I'm looking in stocks right now. I'm doing the same thing right now with a stock position on NIO. It's the same thing that I did in crypto. I buy extreme fear and had good entries today in the 1980s and 1990s. And then I sold enough position, 5% higher, where my break even on NIO right now is down under the low. And just like when I bought Bitcoin, when it broke 30,000, I sold partially into a short-term bounce real quickly, put my stop under the low. That was the monthly higher low, and I rode it the whole way up. And so I'm looking to do that with NIO. And I look at this chart and say, why would I want to be bullish this chart? It's in a downtrend on every time frame, absolutely. But if I can be risk-free, look at this 4-month chart. What is the most likely scenario? We're going to set a 4-month higher low compared to the all-time low, unless something drastically insane happens with China or this company. And then we're going to be looking for a lower high and an equilibrium. But that lower high, even a weak bounce here, is 50%. A solid bounce is 100% move to $40. So again, I'm way early, but I'm risk-free. So why not give it a shot? And again, it's just another example. This looks like Bitcoin's monthly chart. When we set that monthly higher low, massive run up, significant retracement, few candles to pull back, and then that higher low. So that's what I'm looking for here. And that's what bulls are looking for on Sol USDT for a monthly higher low. And that's what we're looking for on Luna now, which is not nearly pulled back as much, but it is in monthly consolidation and there's tons of space for the higher low. So daily oversold, got right down close to it, probably got to 31 or so. But the pattern that I'm watching right now is a 12-hour falling wedge. And I'd be watching, if we bounce from here, we've got 3 touches, so that's a valid support line. And resistance, I don't like drawing the resistance line just yet because I do want to draw it something like this, but I don't have enough touches yet. I don't want to draw it that tight. I want to wait for another lower high. I want to watch EMA 12, which has been rejecting the price. And if we bounce here and set a new lower high, then I will use that level as my resistance guide. But we need more follow through. We need a 4-hour trend change here. Just looking for a 4-hour lower high on this bounce. Needs to be a big enough bounce to shape up a trend change. And if we get the 4-hour trend change, then we'll say, okay, 12-hour bounce underway, scout the 12-hour lower high, but then draw our falling wedge as a potential guide. We're still looking for a weekly bounce. It's not a weekly uptrend anymore, but it's a straight drop from that all-time high. And it's a 50% plus drop from that all-time high. Luna BTC, not as weak. Monthly has not started consolidation. And daily, it is getting close to oversold. But same thing, we need that 4-hour trend change, and the 4-hour bounce is hardly even starting. So again, bigger picture, determine the time frames that are most important for you. If I'm looking at the monthly chart, the hourly chart doesn't matter. If I'm looking at the daily chart and just short-term bounces, then I don't really care about the monthly charts. So determine the time frame that is most important for the trade style that you're going for, and then base things off of that. Are you going to be looking to play this Luna bounce, and are you going to look to sell for a daily lower high? Or are you going to try and establish a position for a longer term higher low? That's up to you and your God. But I need more exposure in the crypto space if our lows are in. I'm not confident our lows are in just yet, but the signs are starting to get there, so I'm starting to pay extra attention. And again, I wasn't planning on swinging mana for the fences, but the way things are shaping up and the fact that it's my only crypto exposure right now, aside from long-term no touch, now I'm definitely going to hang on to it. All right, feel free to ask any questions. I hope you had a good week. Don't forget to do good things. I just put out a video on our YouTube channel today, how I scalp trade. I also put out the video how I trade crypto oversold bounces recently. So poke around our YouTube channel. I just looked today. There's 9,025 videos on there, which is a bit scary. Do good things. Adventure time. Back 5 years ago when I was in Costa Rica. It's Friday, so we've got a sour brown from New Belgian Brewery in town. So at nighttime in Costa Rica, all the creatures would come out. And from the last video, you could see that the spot we were staying in was very exposed to the elements. So the bugs and the critters were always coming inside. And it was not uncommon to have a scorpion in the bedroom or a crab in the kitchen. And the bugs at night would come and be attracted to any lights we had on. So the geckos would all hang out around the lights, and they would just feast on all the flies and the bugs that would land near the lights. So that was fun to just watch every night. Some more different little iguana guys. Dan in the beach. Cowboy wondering what's going on. Baloo. Very comfortable with her new guardians. And just more incredible beach sunset. There was a moment where we were floating in the water and the sun was looking like that. And I said, if life is a trip, I'm peaking right now. And that's pretty much how I felt in terms of just perfection, alignment of everything. And someone posted on the other video, you know, the fact that I made money while I was at this place and came back with more was likely a direct result to being so in line and so in tune with everything that was going on in terms of being in the zone. That was it. And being able to get yourself to that place, things just seemed to work out. Banana trees were all around. And again, we would just get fruit right from the yard. I mean, you had unlimited mangoes coming out of that yard. This was a neighbor's puppy. And this little dude just looked like he was stoned every single picture that you can take of him. But he was a cute little dude, and it was fun to watch him interact with Baloo, who was pretty much a bigger version, and kind of get shown the ropes, roughed around a little bit, but that's what it's like on the street. So for story time here at the end, I've told this story before, but if there's a resume of my life, or a life resume and what I'm good at, what I would list, it would be technical analysis, farming, rock hopping, and breaking up dogfights would be, and ping pong. Ping pong's up there. But breaking up dogfights is something I've done a lot. When I was on the farm in Maine, we had 2 female dogs that were not spayed. And so they did not accept, I mean, most times with animals, they accept their pecking order instantly. It gets determined very quickly, and that's that. But when there's 2 animals that do not accept it, there is constant posturing and battle for that top spot. And we had this dog who was we had 2 Australian shepherds, and one of them would just herd the other one and just walk straight behind it and literally be right on its back legs wherever we went. And every now and again, the one who was getting followed would just get fed up and say, nope, this is going down right now. And they would go at it and draw blood. And, you know, there were times where I would have each of them in a headlock and they would still get out and go after each other. And it never got to the point where they would bite us. So I was never, you know, scared of that, but they were intense. So in this instance, we were in the water one evening, just like this. And Baloo and Cowboy were out, and we didn't have her collar on, which was not good. But Baloo and Cowboy were on the ocean, or on the beach by the ocean. They didn't really like coming in, so they would hang out and wait for us to come out. And these 4 big dogs that looked like they just came off a Siberian mountain came out of the woods, and they were fine. They were just walking along, and they walked over, and we left the water to go say what's up to them. They looked like some really cool dogs. I don't know what breeds they were. They were giant and fluffy and probably very hot in Costa Rica, but there were no red flags. I have a very good sense of reading animal body language through my experiences on farms and things like that, and there was no red flags. And out of nowhere, one of them just snapped and got Baloo on her back real quick and had her jaws around Baloo's neck. And so I was standing right there and instantly ran as fast as I could straight up to her. And that's the kind of thing where you don't even think about it. It's just adrenaline, instant reaction, and threw all my body weight into the dog and nailed my knees into its back hind legs, pretty much into its butt. And that surprised the dog a lot. And so it yelped, and I threw it to the side, and then Baloo got up, and Baloo tried to go after the dog, so I had to keep them separated. And then my buddy picked up Cowboy and said, "Heads up, Dan." And I looked up, and there were 4 dogs just surrounding me, all staring at me like they were just waiting to determine what the next move was. And for a second, I thought it was about to be a battle royale. But fortunately, they stood down, and their companion limped off. And I felt really bad because I definitely hurt that dog, but saw it the next couple of days, and it was limping, but didn't break any bones or anything like that. So that was a big adrenaline rush, and certainly a fun story to relive, but glad to protect Baloo. And after that, we had this bond where she knew I was alpha, and there was this instant unspoken respect where it's like, it's hard to describe, but she knew I had her back, and that was a fun moment. So that's it. USMJ video tomorrow, although I guess this video is going to be at the end of the USMJ video too, so now we're getting all Inception-like. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.